Okay, thank you. Okay, I would like to call the meeting of the Oregon Racing Commission for Thursday, November 20th to order. Um, uh, Ms. Parkman, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, my name is Karen Parkman, and I serve as the Director of Administration for the agency. Today, we have Chair Doherty,
Here.
Vice Chair Barry,
Here.
Commissioner Fowler,
Present.
Commissioner Stein,
Here.
Commissioner Kinsley.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, first thing we have is we'll need to approve the next two items, but are there any additions to the meeting agenda?
Yes,
Yeah.
Chair, I have one
Director Wynn.
addition. I would like to add an item of non-merged pools and affiliates to the consideration for new rules.
Consideration for what? New
New
rules?
rules to that section.
Okay, got it. And what was that again?
Non-merged pools and affiliate requirements.
Got it. Okay, I've got it on the agenda. Okay, any other agenda items to be added? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda as revised.
I'll move to accept the agenda as
Okay,
revised.
thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Stein. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, the next thing, you all received the minutes from the October meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to ask for an approval of the minutes. Motion.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's Stein. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay, it passes. Next on the agenda is old business, but before we do old business, first of all, welcome everybody on this nice sunny day. And hopefully you're all, have your groceries all purchased for Thanksgiving. Okay, next old business, director's report, Director Wynn.
Good afternoon, Chair Doherty and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Connie Wynn, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Oregon Racing Commission. Over the past month, despite the absence of live racing, we have remained very busy. We conducted a successful tabletop exercise focused on multiple disaster scenarios. For those of you who don't know, a tabletop exercise is a walkthrough of what you would do during a disaster. This includes infectious disease, dust storms, wildfires, and flash flooding. This exercise identified several opportunities for improvement and resulted in the development of a new dust storm policy. We have also completed an IT disaster plan and an audit charter, both of which will be presented at the January meeting. United Tote has been awarded the Dubai Signal, which is a big deal, marking the third non-merged pool we have oversight for. As a reminder, a non-merged pool operates independently from other wagering pools and is typically used for international signals such as Dubai, where wagering does not occur locally, and no tote system exists, or no tote system that exists that's compatible. There are other reasons to do it, but that's the one reason why this one was used, because it's not legal to wager in Dubai, so they don't have totes. With the evolution of technology, these pools can be handled in several different ways, but each requires careful oversight. Our presiding steward is monitoring these pools as they occur, and our supervisor mutual is tracking the handle and reviewing for any irregularities. In other news, unfortunately, Thintia, the provider of the new database that was supposed to launch in December, has entered receivership in Canada. As a result, we made the difficult decision, but necessary, to terminate our contract. We could not risk migrating our data to a company that may cease operations. Fortunately, our procurement team structured the agreement to allow us to exit cleanly if cost limits limited to work performed, with costs limited to work performed to date. This experience also provides strong framework for any future system acquisition. For now, we will continue using our outdated system while monitoring a potential statewide initiative to develop a shared license database. Should that project move forward at a reasonable cost, it may become our best long-term option, though customization would still be required. Regarding the budget, I traveled to Salem on Tuesday in case testimony was needed for the potential reductions. I was not called upon as the focus was on general and lottery funded agency. Yesterday's state economic forecast was more positive than anticipated. Although the state remains more than $60 million in deficit, which our Constitution requires us to be balanced, this is an improvement of approximately $300 million. Legislators will reassess the situation following the February 4th forecast. We are not fully in the clear, but indicators are trending in the right direction. At this point, all restrictions are still on the table. No out-of-state travel is allowed, and we have to really watch our budget. There have been increase in infectious diseases in the last month, although not reported in Oregon. These include equine herpes virus, as well as concerns about New World screwworm situation in Mexico on the U.S. border, which I had never even heard of. As always, we continue to monitor these and implement best practices. On our senior veterinarian recruitment, we interviewed 3 exceptionally qualified candidates. The hiring decision has been extremely difficult as each candidate brings extensive experience and strong commitments. I want to sincerely thank the members of the hiring committee for their thoughtful participation. Ultimately, I extended an offer, and while we await a formal response, the candidate has given tentative approval. I will send out an email announcement once an offer letter has been signed. Finally, we have received the results of my 360 review as well as the staff Gallup poll. I had planned on reviewing that today, but with a limited time, I'm going to hold off on that and put that on the January agenda to make sure we get through the important matters that we have on the agenda today. That concludes my report.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions?
I
Okay,
have a
Dr.
question.
Stein?
Yeah, I
Yes.
have a question on the Dubai pools, and maybe that's going to be covered later in the talking about the merge and unmerged pools later when your new rule or something. But I guess my specific question would be, what is the amount of revenue we might be looking at from that?
That's a really good question, Dr. Stein, Commissioner Stein. That in this particular case, it's run by Churchill Downs. They meet their cap anyway, and the way the rule is written currently, because it's going through our licensed ADWs, there is no additional fee that we would get from that, but it will still provide us additional revenue. And the reason is because Churchill Downs will sell the signal to other ADWs, and some of those have not yet met their cap. It's hard to tell how well it will do. The biggest day will be their big World Cup, which is in March. That's I'd say 12 million this year. It's quite the large purse. There'll be a lot of horses from all over the world there. This first weekend was very limited. I think it was a little over $1,000. Very, very small numbers, which is not uncommon for a brand new offering. We do expect to have some additional revenue toward the end of the month, but I don't really have an answer on how much I'll be at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, Director Nguyen, thank you very much. Moving on to new business, the HRA report, Mr. Lowe. Is he here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, there we
Good
are.
morning, Chair Doherty, Director Nguyen, Commissioners. I'm Rod Lowe. I'm the CEO of HRA LLC. HRA had a 12-day race meet that started September 7th and ended on October 13th. It was very successful, but it had a lot of challenges. HRA's meet had delays for smoke, lightning, and several rain days, and a partial power outage. However, all of those challenges, we did not lose any races or race days. Thanks to the ORC stewards, the track, crew, jockeys, trainers, and staff. In fact, the Quarter Horse Association and the Thoroughbred Association, the HPBA, decided to actually add a couple extra races by the end of the meet. Safety wise, we had a pretty safe race meet. We didn't have any serious injuries on jockeys. We had 2 horses vanned off. One of those horses, the owner did decide to euthanize it. And we had 1 horse that died on the backside because of colic. Because of Northern California not racing, we had to put up 40 extra stalls this year and still had a waiting list for trainers and stalls for horses. Our stats, our field size this year was 7.14 per race, 728 starts, 62 races with 7 or more horses, 40 races with 6 or fewer horses. Our purses was a total of $922,400. Average purse per day was $76,867. Average per race was $9,043. Our handle was $227,539, average of $18,962. Average per race was $2,322. That was down from 24. I think it's mainly because of the weather that we had. We had a lot of rainy days and not so good weather. In 24, our race meet, we didn't have any rainy days, and for the most part, we had really good weather. So weather makes a big difference in our fall meet. Our attendance was 16,455, average of 1,371 people per day. Thanks to the ORC and all the stakeholders, I felt like we had a very safe meet and a very good meet. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, weather's something that we just can't predict. We can predict, but we can't necessarily deal with.
Right.
Okay, next, you received in your packets, commissioners, dates for the 2026 commission meetings. And there's going to be only one in person, that's going to be in May up in Portland. But for the folks that have to drive, well, it will have that online. So basically, it'll probably be Dr. Stein and myself at that meeting in person. But is there any input, any major problems with those dates for anyone? Because if not, we couldn't approve them. Any problems with the dates? Okay, I appreciate these coming out so early. So can I have a motion to accept the commission calendar for next year?
I'll move to accept the calendar for next year
Okay.
as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Stein.
There are workhorses,
Oh,
Chair.
I know. Okay, are you still eating your lunch? Anyway, all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have the calendar set for next year. Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of the summer fair dates for 2026. And so do we just want to go through and have each of the fair races go through and explain it, or what? How would you like to proceed, Director?
Yeah, for the ones that are here, that would be great. And
Okay,
give them a
great.
chance to show their bright little shiny faces. Union, Nate, does your crew want to go over your dates? We can listen to all the dates. So you can do one approval, I think.
Yeah.
Unless there's
So anyway,
anything
Eastern
else.
Oregon Livestock Show, do you want to present anything, or?
Yeah, we're looking up the dates now here. We didn't come prepared for that, so.
Okay.
the first
I think
full
it's
week.
11th, 12th, and 13th is why I show.
Yeah.
It's the second week.
Yeah, so yeah, 11th, 12th, and 13th, let's see. Be
Or is
12th,
it 12th, 13th,
14th.
and 14th? Sorry.
Yeah, 12th, 13th, and
Okay.
14th of June.
Okay. Great. Anything else to add, or? Just get in.
We was concerned about funding, and I think on my application, we just asked that we'd fund about the same as we did in 25, unless funding was curtailed, and then we would probably ask for 2 less races to decrease our funding.
And
Okay,
Chair.
Director Wynn.
Yes, thank you. So Nate and Dave, since you were not able to make the fair meeting, we have discussed that we will be distributing the full amount, and we'll distribute it early. So we're good to go this year. We'll figure out for next year.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Southern Oregon Horse Racing Association. We received the application. Is there someone here that would like to speak to that?
Yeah, this is Rod. And
Okay, Rod.
I'm president of Southern Oregon Horse Racing Association. So yeah, we put in for dates for June 20th and 21st, the 27th and 28th, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And per our application, we did request that we would stick to those dates, also as long as we got funding. And Connie reassured us that we were going to get that funding for 26. So we also have around May 1st, we will put together a schedule for also our training dates. So we'll have about 45 days of training before we start racing at Grants Pass Downs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Crooked River Roundup. Is there anyone here from Crooked River?
I didn't see
Okay.
anyone. They may not be here.
Right, but the applications was submitted, and so it's in our packet of materials. Tillamook County Fair. Okay, same thing. The application has been received, and so it should be in our packet of materials.
I would
Um,
reference one thing on that is different. Initially, I believe that Prineville was scheduled to be the first full week, which is right after Grants Pass, like they were this year. But that has changed on their website. I'm not sure if the two coordinated that together, but they're now showing that they will not start, which is also reflected on their license, on their dates, that they're starting the following week. So they will not be
Okay.
running until the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Okay,
Which, and Rod has something to address on that because he may know something.
okay,
Yeah,
Mr.
so
Lowe?
I did discuss that this year during their race meet with Doug, because of us running on all 3 of those days, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it would have made it way too close for him to run on that Wednesday. So he was able to push that back and give us that week between there, or 10 days. So it makes it really good for the horsemen, and it's not pushing it so close to that time. So that was great that they were able to do that.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so at least all the dates are set for the races this summer. Any
We do need a
questions?
vote. We need
Go
a
ahead.
vote on that to approve them.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the dates that have been presented for the summer fairs?
I move we
So
approve
moved.
the submitted dates for the
Okay.
fair.
I'll second.
Okay, so Commissioner Stein moves and Commissioner Fowler seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. The next thing on the agenda is the discussion and possible approval to begin the rulemaking process for the following rules, and there are two things that we're talking about. And the first one is emergency warning system. The second is a Coggins test requirements. So Director Nguyen, would you like to address those? And then we will go through and if we may need to make a motion, we will make a motion to begin the rulemaking process. Yes, you're on mute, Director Nguyen.
I can. Micah, that's your job to scream at me. Good job. All right. For once, you couldn't hear me talk. It's a miracle. As mentioned before, well, I am going to talk about the added item. As mentioned before in my report, we have a new non-merged pool under our jurisdiction. This has caused us to consider revisions in the non-merged pool rules as well as some of the affiliate rules to ensure that we can that we are accounting for advances. Let me start from scratch, please.
Okay,
As mentioned
because
before in my
I thought,
report,
excuse me just a moment, I thought we were gonna discuss that under 8, but we'll discuss that under 7.
it's under 7.
Okay.
It's a new
Thank you.
rule. My bad, sorry. Okay, as mentioned before in my report, we have new non-merged pools under our jurisdiction. This has caused us to consider revisions of non-merged pool rules as well as some affiliate rules to ensure that we are accounting for advances in technologies. With that said, we would like to have the commission allow us to start the rulemaking process, which will include an advisory committee and hearings to ensure full engagement and public comment in the development of these rules. Just to give you an example on this, we don't have any rules to show you right now. This is all be done, and the advisory committee, we really need their input, and we're hoping that our commissioners who represent the ADWs can also be involved in that. The reason this is important is because it used to be that if you had a non-merged pool, you literally had to have a steward with a board in front of him pushing the buttons. And the technology has all changed, and the way all of these are done are all different. So we have to have a little more flexibility in the rules to be able to account for that. So at the end, if you can also approve the ability to start that rulemaking process, we would appreciate it.
Okay,
The other two, I think, are going to require more discussion. So let's spend some time
Okay.
on those.
okay,
Oh.
so why don't we just see if we can, do we need a motion to move that towards the rulemaking process?
Yes.
Okay, so we need a motion to have that move to a rulemaking process. Do we have?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fowler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Stein, thank you.
And
All
I'm
those in favor?
hoping, sorry.
Yeah. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes. It will begin rulemaking. Okay, Director Nguyen.
I will be in contact with Commissioner Barry and Commissioner Stein to see if one or both of them would be interested in participating in the advisory committee, which again will be remote. Commissioner Barry has already volunteered to be a hearings officer.
Commissioner Stein, question?
I have no problem serving on that committee.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so the emergency warning system.
All right, so this was a discussion in our meeting last month on having a warning system, and I would like to get some comments from Commissioner Stein on this, on what that might look like, and your thoughts on this and some of the things that you've seen, both with places that have this and our tracks that have brought this to our attention. If you don't mind, otherwise I'll just say why I think you would say.
Yeah, no, the issue of a warning system, most tracks seem to rely on a track announcer to holler out to the jockeys that there is either a horse down or riders down or something of that nature. And it's very difficult for people during the running of a race, especially if they're already on the backside, to hear an announcer tell them to pull their horses up or, something of that manner. In places where they do have warning systems, usually it involves a light, like a flashing light that might be at the quarter pole or the half-mile pole, or, well, with half-mile tracks, I guess would be maybe a couple of lights on the track, red light flashing or something of that nature. And some places also have a siren system. Having seen the accident we had at Tillamook with a horse jumping the rail, actually jumping 2 rails and ending up going in the opposite direction towards horses that were, oncoming horses, we were lucky nothing happened. But a lot of the jockeys that were in that race were, kind of muttering that, some couple of the guys were pulling their horses up, a couple of guys were not. And, that becomes an issue for not just safety, but even for the betting public. Not, if they know a race is being called off. And by the way, these warning systems generally are used to call a race off. And that's certainly for safety. So, jockeys aren't there, driving on a horse when in fact other guys are trying to save their skins. So I obviously don't know any costs involved in this, and I don't know how easy or difficult it is for these tracks to set up some sort of system. But I do feel that it's necessary to avoid an accident that, it does happen in morning workouts. We see this all the time. The horses get killed or even exercise riders get seriously hurt or even killed when there's a loose horse and they run head on into each other. So I just think we need to really deal with something like that.
Okay, Commissioner Barry.
Is anyone aware of any data on tracks with these systems versus tracks without and their safety records?
Does anybody have an answer to that? Because I was to say that I think the one thing with this, obviously, this is a new concept, or not a new concept, but a concept being brought up. And I think it's a good idea to get a group together, gather facts, gather information, find out if other tracks do this, specifically what do they do, and so on, and then come up with a recommendation to the commission. Does that seem to be a method to use?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Daryl, Western Regional Manager for the Jockeys Guild. Can I make a comment on the warning systems?
Hold on,
I
just
don't have any.
Yeah, if you can wait until we can do some public comment, I think we will take public comment on this, Daryl. So let the commissioners go first and then we'll open it to public comment.
Yep. Okay. So anyway, so I would suggest a committee to get together to research it and come up with a proposed method to use this. So Representative Quinn Barry, you have a comments?
May I make a motion to refer this issue to the safety committee? Or go ahead, Director.
I would like to say it's already been in the safety committee and they brought it to you.
This is how
So,
this came.
so yeah, because they thought that it was important enough to bring to you. I would recommend that, number one, that we do open up to public comment so you can hear from everyone. And number two, it is at most of the big tracks, as well as if you're a HISA track, which we're not, and we don't do things because HISA do things, but we do things because they're safe. HISA does require it. So with that, that's my recommendation, is that you
Okay.
open up for public comment before you make a decision.
We can do that for a time period, but I still think that it's a good idea to have it go back to the safety committee and have them come up with a proposal to bring to the entire commission. Because I don't think that's something today is not the day that I think that we would come up with a proposal, because I think we have too many issues to look at and so on. That's just my 4 cents with inflation. So
What
I'd be fine with doing that as well. And I didn't mean to jump in front of you, Commissioner Stein. But I also think it would be important to hear from some of the other members of the industry. Particularly, I'm interested to hear what Daryl has to say.
Yes, so we'll do that. Commissioner Stein, and then Daryl will open it up to you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say whatever committee we form to work on this, I think certainly the Jockeys Guild has to be, absolutely involved in
absolutely.
this, as well as trainers. But I think jockeys probably have more to say about this than anybody.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But as I say, today is not the day to come up with a program and, a final vote. But I think it's a great idea to keep pursuing. So Daryl,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. Would you have some
Yes.
input or some things you'd like to
Well,
bring up to us?
just I've known they work, and if it's done properly, whether it's a siren or warning system, just briefly, but the outriders come into play too. They have walkie-talkies, because like what happened at Tillamook, they go the wrong way. There's not much you can do about it. And even if the announcers are calling, depending on the wind, you can't hear it, the announcer either. So there's not a lot to take into consideration, but having warning signs or signals or sirens that the riders can hear right away or see, know that they have to pull up right away, because that's what it's for. You see that, you pull up. Everybody pulls up. But anything can happen, at that moment. There's something that's out of the ordinary, like horses going the wrong way. You're at God's mercy. So
Excellent.
that's my on it.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
madam.
for your input. Okay, any other things, any input, any whatever? Because I think what we'll do is we'll begin a motion to begin the rule processing or ruled process. Mr. Lowe, you have your hand up.
Yes, I understand the concept behind it. I know at Grants Pass, we have a lot of safety issues already in place with our walkie-talkies. We have 2 outriders. We have a person at every gate. We have a lot of things that we do to communicate. It's a little different with our racetracks because they are half-mile racetracks. They're not like a mile racetrack that's you can see a lot better, I guess, at our racetracks versus something else. 2 comments. Number 1, there is no money to do anything about it. The cheapest way to do it is to possibly do an air horn or something like that for our racetracks. And then maybe at some point down the road, there can be sirens or lights or something. But if we want to add that layer to that, we certainly can. I've been doing this at Grants Pass for 45 years, and we have not ever had an incident at Grants Pass where 2 horses collided into each other because they weren't warned or there was a problem. Not saying that it can't happen, but because of our racetrack and because of how it's set up and because of our outriders and our gate people, we have not had a problem. Everybody is warned and usually knows, and if we have to get them off the track, we can. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and that would be good input for if we have a rulemaking process. Okay, any other comments? Okay, I would like to propose a motion that we begin a rulemaking process for an emergency warning system. Does that seem appropriate? Okay, so motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Fowler makes a motion to begin a rulemaking process. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Stein, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the motion passes. Okay, the second thing that for possible rulemaking is Coggins test requirements. Director Nguyen.
All right, as you know, we went to 6 months, which was a wise decision at the time based on the information we had. It did cause a tremendous amount of confusion at the track, especially at the first race and the last races, because people are getting at that 6 months again. You have a letter which came to you from the Quarter Horse Association. I believe I also forwarded you a letter from Twyla Beckner, who is
Yes.
the steward for the association at Grants Pass, with their concerns about changing it back to a year. And I can tell you that when we changed it, other jurisdictions were also considering it, and I believe California had for a while. At this point, there's only one jurisdiction that I know of in North America, and that's Pennsylvania, that's currently doing that. So it has been a little confusing for the horsemen at the 6 month rate. So
So
I would
Pennsylvania
recommend
is the only one that has a year?
that
Is
has
that what you're
6
saying?
months. Everybody
has
else
6
is at a
months.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did talk to the chief, to an epidemiologist for Oregon, and he also thought that that was a very reasonable. If we do see a spike anywhere, or anything that's blood-borne as opposed to needle-borne, of course, we can implement an emergency rule.
Okay, Commissioner Stein.
Just point out Canada is 6 months. You
Sorry
know,
about that.
what I find a little puzzling is that most of the problems we've had, whether it be about the testing or what they had at Los Alamitos, has to do with horses that are shipping in, and most of them are quarter horses. And my concern is that we have several things happening. One is we don't have really a closed racetrack like most of these other jurisdictions, whereby horses are stabled there, I won't say year round, but certainly for the length of their race meets. So we've got a lot of movement of horses, and in particular, movement of horses, particularly quarter horses coming in for their futurities and such from places that we don't have a whole lot of, I won't say control because we have no control over them, but in places that are questionable in terms of bush track racing and things like that. My other point is, for instance, Arapahoe Park in Colorado it has to be 30 days your Coggins before coming onto the track. It is a 1-year Coggins, but it has to be done within 30 days. So that's a slight, variation. And further, really for the Oregon horsemen, if you had your Coggins taken on, let's say, May 15th, before any of our fairs begin, plenty of time to get your results in, you're fine throughout all the racing in Oregon, and you're fine for any racing in Arizona. You're fine all the way through the beginning of Emerald, if that is your circuit, which appears to be what most guys are doing these days. And then you get your new Coggins May 15th, approximately. You're good through Oregon. You're good through every other place. And like I say, those places, Emerald, or Turf Paradise or Los Alamitos, they have the stable gates where horses are checked in and checked out. Now, whether they do a good job or not, I have no idea, but it just seems too easy for horses to be shipping in from we don't really know where, coming onto the track and leaving, and we don't really know when, or when they're shipping out. And I just think in terms of contact tracing and things like that, it's much more difficult for our racing in Oregon than it is for other places.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions? Okay, so what we're looking at here again is the same thing we did with the emergency warning system, is to begin a rule-making process to deal with the issues of either 6 months or a year. So I'd like to see if we can get a motion on that to begin a rulemaking process.
So moved.
Okay, so Commissioner Kinsley moves that we begin a
second.
rulemaking process, and Commissioner Fowler seconds. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those
No.
opposed? Oh, I was gonna
No.
say, see, I didn't see your hand, so we always ask for opposed. Okay, thank you very much. So we will begin a rulemaking process and hopefully one that it will be done in a timely manner. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is we've got 3 rules that have been dealt with, and so we could possibly approve the following rules. So Director Nguyen, do you want to discuss them, please?
You're
Sure,
on
and
mute.
Do we need to
I'm
discuss
not
them?
mute
Yeah,
anymore. Okay.
yeah.
So the
You're not
first
muted.
one is a changes the licensing fees. We did have an advisory committee meeting on that. We took a lot of feedback. We made some changes to it, and that is ready to go. We have the ability for Micah to go out and to do test wagers under limited circumstances, and those must be approved in advance for the purpose of auditing. And that was a statute that went through this year, and we just needed to change the rule to match it. And change in permissible medication schedule, that was actually putting the amounts in for the NSAIDs, because we didn't have that last time and people took advantage of that.
Okay. Okay, so all 3 of those have been gone through the process, and you all received copies of the changes of the rules. Are there any questions to any of them, or do we want to go through each one of them? Are there any questions to the rules that were presented in our packet? Okay, seeing none.
Oh, wait, we have one.
Oh,
I was just gonna
I'm
make
sorry.
a motion to adopt all 3, but that may be premature. Do we do more procedural stuff?
I'll
I
second
think-
that.
Okay, I was gonna say procedurally, Kelly, can we do all 3 at one time, or do we have to do them individually?
You can do them all at once. I would just recommend that you reference the specific rule numbers so that it's clear on the record which
We
ones
will
that you
do-
are
we-
proposing that.
We will do that. So, do you have this in front of you, Commissioner Barry?
Oh, darn. I should have let Commissioner Fowler go first. Commissioner Fowler, would you like to make the motion and read the numbers?
I can do that. I
Oh,
would
Thank you
move
very
at this
much.
time
Commissioner
to
Fowler.
I'd move to
Busted.
adopt I'd move to adopt the following rules. OAR 462-120-0050 sub 3, OAR 462-140-0125, and 462-160-0130.
Okay,
done.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'd like to second that.
Okay, Commissioner Barry seconds. Any discussion, any questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, so those 3 rules are adopted. Moving along, we might get you out of here, but well, we never know. The next thing we have on the agenda, and I'm not quite sure if all of the commissioners received this, but it's the review and possible approval of the final order for Juan Leon. Kelly, I would assume you're dealing with this.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm going to
excuse
take
me.
this. Yeah, there isn't anything to distribute at this point. But good afternoon, Chair Doherty and Commissioners. For the record, I am Kelly Rout with the Oregon Department of Justice, Counsel for the Racing Commission. At the September meeting, you voted to propose to revoke the license for licensee Juan Leon for 5 years for racing a quarter horse who had tested positive for clenbuterol earlier this year. Mr. Leon had requested a hearing, but he has since withdrawn his hearing request, meaning that he no longer contests the proposed agency action.
Oh, okay.
This means that the commission can issue a final order by default. However, the notice that was issued that proposed the 5-year revocation inadvertently neglected to add the $1,000 civil penalty that was also proposed by the commissioners. So if the case had proceeded along the path to a hearing, it would have been a simple matter to amend the notice at any time prior to the hearing. However, Mr. Leone withdrew his hearing request before we could do that. There's a decision point for the commission today, and that's whether to vote to issue a final order by default now with a 5-year revocation, but no civil penalty, or the commission could direct the ORC to reissue the notice with the proposed revocation and the civil penalty, and provide an opportunity to request a hearing on the additional penalty and sort of see what goes from there.
Okay.
So,
Okay, Commissioner Fowler, you had your hand up, and then we also have Commissioner Berry. Commissioner
I
Fowler?
did. And Kelly, maybe this is my mistake, but it looks like there's one thing that needs to be changed on this order. On page 3 at line 14, it says the stewards imposed a suspension from 2023 to 2024. And I think that that needs to say 2025 to 2026.
okay, sorry, let me pull up. You looking at the proposed default order?
I am, and it's page 3, line 14. I
Okay.
just, I think those years are wrong.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Page 3, line 18.
14, line 14.
Line 14.
Yeah.
You are correct. That is a typo. I will absolutely make that change. We can make that change. And so
And then
that is if the default issues today, you may vote to decide to like reissue the notice. But yeah. But thank you for pointing that out.
Sure. And because I have to run, I'll just make my opinion here. I'm pretty indifferent. I think waiving the $1,000 fine and going forward with this as it's drafted makes sense and is certainly, we may spend more than $1,000 in our time and effort going after that $1,000. So that's my 2 cents. I do need to run, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew what my thoughts were about it.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you very much. Commissioner Berry, then Commissioner Stein.
I was going to say almost exactly what Commissioner Fowler said. It sounded like an error on the part of the state. Sometimes it breaks in your favor. Good on him. I wish him best. Don't come back and race in Oregon for 5 years.
Okay. And so no fine.
That would be my thought, rather than going through all the procedure and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner
We
Stein.
love you, Kelly, but we don't want to pay you that much.
I understand. You know what? Mistakes happen, and it happened in his favor. And it's your decision. Yeah, it's a decision that makes sense, but it's your decision.
So,
Commissioner Stein.
yeah, do we need to vote on accepting the default judgment?
Okay.
Then I
I'm
would,
basically voting to issue the final order by default because that is the decision
Okay.
that is it's not been delegated to the commission to staff. So yeah, you just basically vote to approve the default order, revoking the license.
With a date change.
As it's really just to issue the default order.
Okay.
That's just a typo that I can fix. You don't have to.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Well,
Stein.
I move we approve the default order.
Okay,
I'll second it.
I second.
okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to accept the order by default. All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I
gotta
will
run.
provide
Okay.
an updated draft for the chair's signature for issuance. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. The last thing we have on the agenda before we go to public comment and confirmation of the next meeting is commission training, how decisions impact our constituents.
And I will email you all that video for you to look at your leisure, since I know that Dr. Kins also needs to get out of here, and
Yeah.
we're in short time. How's that sound?
Sounds fine. And that way it gives us a little more time as individuals to look it over and to come up with questions or comments or whatever. Okay. That's the last thing we have under new business. Do we have any public comment?
250.
Do I see any hands up?
I have a hand up. It's Connie Erickson from Otoga.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Connie. Yes,
I
comment?
have a couple of questions and they're related. Excuse me. perfect time to have a coughing
Yeah.
fit.
Connie, could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, of course. I'm Connie Erickson. I'm president of the Oregon Thoroughbred Breeders Association. And Chair Doherty and Director Wynn and commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
Regarding the proposed cuts from the governor, do they conflict with the law that defines the hub split to be 75% to the Racing Commission and 25% to the general fund? So that's
Okay.
one
Why
question.
don't we answer the questions as we go? Commissioner or Director Wynn has an answer.
That's a good question, and I brought that to the attention of legal counsel, the CFO, and the governor's office, and the end result was the way that it reads is we have the ability to do that at the 25-75, but at the end of the day, the legislators get to do whatever they want, basically. So that was a no-go. I rewrote it. I tried it. Since then, however, I don't know if you were on, it does look like the forecast is better. And I have committed to releasing all the fair meat funds and whatever we promised for the first distribution at that point. And I'm also hoping to go to the e-board to get a little more to make sure we're covered. Hoping.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that sounds encouraging.
Great.
And my second question was, do the budget redirections need to be approved by the legislature, or can the governor just do this?
The legislators are the only ones that can do it.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Okay,
answers
thank
my
you. Because they,
question.
goes to
Appreciate it.
Ways and Means makes a recommendation, is actually voted on by the committees and the body. So, okay, any other public comment? Okay, I see no hands up. We have no contested cases. Don't have an executive session. The next commission meeting is January 15th at 1:30 remotely on Microsoft Teams. Anything for the good of the order? Commissioners or anything? Okay, well, I hope that everyone has a good 2 holidays coming up. It always cracks me up. It's one time that you got to be with your family, more days than any other time of the year, but we enjoy it. So anyway, I wish you all a very good holiday, and I appreciate and thank you very much for all of the time that you put in, because it's a very, very important job. So thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you, Chairman Powell.
Okay, so with that, I adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.